Electrical Systems with Mr. Merlino, one of my favorites.
Listen, I'd like to pledge some money. Can I pledge? How much can I pledge?
Listen,
How long is this telethon going to run for?
For you, for 30 minutes. Oh, my goodness. Mr. Merlino, how are you?
I am well. How are you?
I am well. So can you tell me, we'll just get right into it. Can you tell me about your program?
Hey, good news.
Yeah.
Enrollment, well, let me back up.
Okay.
So the teacher at Potter Road, former student of mine, good news. I asked for them to increase my room space so we could hire another teacher and we can get all the kids off the waiting list because every year there's a waiting list. So we did that. So they accommodated. We've increased the size of the classroom. We have two structures built. They're made out of wood. We call them stick. So it's kind of like a house. That's where the kids do, the students do all their projects. And now we have another electrical teacher with me in the afternoon. So we've got two classes in the afternoon. I've got currently one class of seniors in the morning. So the trade electrical is, I can't understate this and I don't want to undersell this, but there's not enough, I just can't kick out enough graduates to meet the need for the demand. And that's for real. I'm going to tell you that's not made up. If you take the class and you successfully complete it after 2 years and you wish to become an electrician and start working right after high school, we can make that happen. You want to go on to further schooling, more schooling is never going to hurt you. So, and the union will take the top 1% and enroll them right into the journeyman program.
Oh, so, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Very cool.
They siphon off the best of the best, and it's only to their benefit because the union, I mean, there's other ways to get into the union, but this is the best way for them to get the best people right out of high school.
Right.
So, and the 5 years that it takes to become a journeyman, you work and you go to school at night. And oh, by the way, shameless plug, I'm teaching at the Union Hall. I teach 5th years. So if you see me in high school, you could very well see me in the union, and you would have to get through me to become a journeyman. They call it turning over.
Twice. So they'd have to get through you twice.
Correct. You know, sometimes life is just like that. When I showed up this year, I have 20 guys in the class, and 8 of them are former students. So I'm like, bet you never thought you'd see me again, right? So it's good. It's good. The outlook is good. If I do side work myself right now, my hourly rate is $65 an hour, and if I wanted to work constantly, I could do that. But I think 3 jobs is enough, and I'm going to just stick with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's one thing I forgot to talk about with Mr. Snyder last week, but I would love to hear you talk about how you are your program's recognized in the state as one of the top CTE programs there is.
Yeah, we got some recognition last year because of the amount of kids that roll through the program and have positive outcomes, and our business articulations and working with the union as well as non-union. We have really good open lines of communication. They found that we're a really good resource, especially when there's not enough people to meet the need. So yeah, they gave us some recognition, and it's funny you mention that because I forgot about it. I mean,
you're so humble.
Well, listen, I just do what I do, and if you like me, great. If you don't, great. I don't care. I'm going to do my job.
And that's to teach.
That's it.
That's right. So we talked a little bit about the program. What does a project look like in electrical? You know, at homeschool, it's a research paper or a book report. What's it look like in Mr. Merlino's electrical systems class?
So I'm going to tell you, right? So good news. me and Mr. Snyder, we wrote a lab book. So, and it's really funny because, like, when I tell people that know me, yeah, I wrote a book. They're like, "You wrote a book?" I'm like, yeah, I wrote a
believed
book.
you, Mr. Molino.
Fully illustrated. So when you come in day one, you know all the labs potentially that you could do throughout the year. And why I say potentially is everybody doesn't work at the same pace, okay? And you're not partnered up with somebody. So one of the things I always hated, especially going to college, was they always put us in groups. And then what happened? I wound up doing the work, right? So you are on your own. It's up to you. And this is just like, when you're in the field, yeah, you're working with a group of guys, but you're still doing your own thing, right? And you have to keep up your end. So there's about, I think we've added a couple, so we got about 40 labs total for the year. Now, some people make it halfway through, some people make it 3/4, some people actually make it all the way through, and then we can get them started on some advanced labs. So that's junior year. Junior year, we concentrate on safety and residential wiring. We do a little sprinkling with some industrial stuff. We bend a lot of conduit, a lot of pipe. That's what houses the wires. And then when you come back senior year, we work on we've got another great curriculum senior year. It's called the HAL Electrical Control Trainer curriculum. And with that, you're working on commercial and industrial machinery, and it's fed with three-phase power. That's an industrial power source. So what we do is we give you great starter skills to go out. Now, you're not going to leave here. We don't give you any credentials. You can take you have to. We have an online OSHA class. I used to teach it, but I hated teaching it because it was so dry and boring. It was like counting sand. Okay. So now they have a really great program online where you can work it. It's 10 hours. It's for the construction industry. If you're going to go into the construction industry, you're going to need this safety card. Mm-hmm. Currently, it is good for life, but there is word coming down that they might make you renew it every 5 years, when they change the regs. But anyway, that's a great certificate or a great safety certificate that you get that says, hey, I went above and beyond. I'm ready to work in the field. I can spot the dangers. So you're in a really great place to be. You won't be a journeyman when you leave us, but you'll be a great apprentice. So you'll have excellent skills, and you'll definitely be employable. Whether you want to be an electrician, electrical engineer, I've got nuclear scientists out there, nuclear engineers. I have all types of electrical engineers. And it's so funny. I was on the call last one with Mr. Hughes, and he was talking about non-traditional students. So females, I'm going to tell you right now, and if you can hear my voice and listen to me, if you are a female entering this trade and you are a hard worker and want to be successful, you can rule the world. I'm telling you right now. We're doing a capital improvement project at Harkness this spring. And one of my former students, she came in, and now I was kind of surprised. I'm like, gee whiz, Mercedes, how'd you get in? Because the school's locked down right now. And she said, well, last week, and she said she's putting a bid in because she works for a contracting firm, and she does 25, 50, $100 million bids for this company. So she's doing very well for herself, and
not half bad.
Not half bad. So every one of the ladies that come through do very well. I have a young lady in my junior class right now, and she wants to be an electrical engineer, and that's great. She'll be a great electrical engineer. But if I can somehow weasel her into the union, are you kidding me? It would just be fantastic. So
yeah, she's no joke.
Yeah. It's nice. It's nice to see, motivated kids. And I know Mr. Hughes was saying when the kids came back, we've got the kids that came back this week were just like chomping at the bit. They were so excited to be back, and that is what I want to see.
I think that we have the coolest. I'm gonna just like gloat about CTE, especially in the face of this whole pandemic. We have the coolest model because when you come back to our school, you don't sit in a desk. You get to
Right.
like be up and moving and hands on and working with power tools and seeing your hard work come to life in front of you. And it's not just more of what you're doing at home on the computer.
Right.
Not to put any other classes down, but oh my gosh, it's the coolest experience to come in and be able to like get going.
Well, we do that the Career X thing, and I try to tell every kid this. I think electrical is the coolest, obviously, because that's what I do. But if it's not for you, it's not for you. But this building, the building that we have, has so many excellent teachers from the field that there should be something you can find that you would like to do, So that's the cool part about what we do, for sure.
Well, and that keeps coming up too. I think that all of our teachers that are in CTE have been in the industry and they're so supportive of a student finding what they want to do.
Right.
And it might not be their class, and that's okay because we just want people to know that CTE is available and awesome and a really cool way to spend your 2 years in high school.
Yep. Oh, no doubt. I mean, couldn't be better spent, for sure.
For sure.
It's a skill you'll have for life, no matter what.
Right, exactly. So we kind of touched on safety, but I want to just talk about real quick what students would need to bring to your class, especially to be safe.
So you need shoes, pants, and obviously a shirt, but goes without saying. We are not allowed to wear flip-flops and shorts on the job site, so you're not allowed to wear them in school. It's just a safety risk. Your clothes have to be in good, neat, workmanlike order. And why I say that is you want to know that, and think about this, you want to know that you are portraying a professional image because you're in people's homes, right? You're in people's businesses. People are relying on you to be a professional. So you have to exude that when you're at work. Now, you're hanging out with your posse or whatever they call it these days, and you want to wear the ripped jeans and the shirts and whatever, fine. But when you come to school, this is a trade school. So this is professional. You should act professional, okay? And like I say, and I'll provide the safety glasses, I will provide the safety training, and then I will provide you with tool belts, with tools in them. And here's what I say all the time. I got like 1,000 sayings, but here's what I say all the time. You look like an electrician, you act like an electrician, and pretty soon, guess what? You are an electrician. So
it walks like a duck, right?
Right. So I see somebody asked about renewable energy, wind, solar, etc. Yes, we do a wind module in the junior year. We've got at Potter and Harkness, we have 2 micro turbines. They are 350 watts each. It's sent to a telemetry system, and me and Mr. Snyder helped install both of them. So that was a great learning experience. And we do solar as well. We've got a whole solar curriculum, and that we roll out the springtime senior year, because it seems like seniors just need a little something extra to get them through the year. And so we do the solar springtime in the senior year just to keep everybody on track. So we do renewable stuff for sure.
Perfect. So is renewable like the way of the future, or are we never getting away from traditional electricity?
Well, first of all, we're never getting away from electricity. That's number one. It's how we produce it that's going to change, and it has changed. It's changed to the point where weather now affects electrical production, in the fact that when you have a nice sunny cold day, you can now throttle down your coal plants because you're making more solar. So this all goes into an equation when they set up the grid and the power. And AC is what we use in our homes, and you either use it or lose it. So they have to calculate this. If they make too much, then they're not getting a good ROI, no return on investment. If they make too little, then we have brownouts and people freak right out when they don't have power. So, yeah, we're moving towards more renewables, and it's kind of funny because right now the global leader for renewable energy is Germany. Okay? So Germany does not get as much sun as Buffalo.
And we don't get much sun.
We get it. Actually, we get a lot.
Really?
We get enough that if you put, say, a 3 kW, if you don't know what that means, it doesn't matter. But if you put a 3 kW array on your house, you would see a significant savings. If not, depending on the size of the house, of course, but like a house like mine, it would probably offset my whole electric bill for the year, for sure.
Really?
And now you're talking, Elon Musk has what's called the power wall.
Mm-hmm.
So now what we do right now is called net metering. So we actually spin the meter backwards,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how the power company pays you for the power you're sending out.
Got it.
Power wall, and then at night we take off of the grid, obviously, and then it balances each other out. Well, now with the power wall, you can set them up so that any excess power goes right into that, so you might not be drawing off the grid. So there's a lot of benefits, and absolutely in this area, it's an untapped potential, and there is plenty of renewable resources. And we haven't even got into geothermal, which is pound for pound one of your best energy values alone. And one of our instructors, he teaches TV and sound, he had a solar array put on his house, which totally knocked his electric bill right out, right? Because he's making the power. So the only real bill he had was natural gas. And the solar people came back to him and said, hey, if you drop in a geothermal well, you could disconnect your natural gas and you could be all electric. Now,
I didn't know you could do that.
See, you got to spend more time with me.
If I could go back in time and take your class, I would, but I can't.
So let me ask you this. If you didn't have to spend money on fuel,
Yeah,
how would that change your life?
I'd have money to spend on other things. Look at how that works. So you're making people's lives better, both fiscally and in the long term. I don't know, in every
Sure,
way possible.
energy independence, which is huge, right? You know, imagine if we didn't have to go to war over fossil fuels. Come on, right? It's a no-brainer, and it keeps us working and employed. So,
Right.
You know, and that's going to be tough to outsource.
Well,
You can't outsource the sun.
It's for everyone. But when you keep talking about all these things that I never knew existed, first of all I'm hearing is more jobs, more jobs, more jobs. And, you know, you lay the groundwork now, and you can do this in the short term because you think being an electrician's cool. You could do this in the long term, like career-wise. You could go on to college and have this be a stepping stone for what you want to do, so that you can't go wrong here.
That's what I'm saying. If you like to work with your hands, and you know, and what I will do, what we do is there's many facets of the electrical industry. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, I try to open the book and show you a little of everything, and then you choose. So I had a young man that was interested in lighting, because we do a whole lighting chapter. It's very important to what we do. He actually went on to lighting school in Massachusetts, and now I think he works for Shays doing lighting, right? So he's very successful in that. I had another young man who was going into the Navy. By the way, the ASVAB scores for math are very high in our class, because everything we do is science and math. Sorry, I don't want to depress you, but that's it.
No, not depressing at all, especially when we have integration in our programs.
it's applied science and math. So there'll be a time where we'll do a math problem, you'll figure out the answers, and then I'll say, okay, go build it. So that's the difference. That's the difference. So, when you're talking about all that, it's really nice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think we went off topic. Sorry.
No, I mean, it's not off topic. It all falls under the umbrella of what you teach and where these students can go with their education. Oh, what if math is not your strong skill?
So, let me ask you this. Are you a hard worker?
Yes. I'm going to answer the question.
Oh, okay. Okay. If you're a hard worker I can teach you the math. I'm telling you right now, because everything I do is a process. I have steps for everything. If I can teach you how to wire something, I can teach you the math skills you need in this class. So I hide some of the math that we do. I don't readily tell you that it's trig or geometry, because that kind of turns you off. I get it. But you know what? When you're bending pipe, it's all geometry, right? When we're talking about AC theory, in which we do that in the senior year, that's all trig. But I integrate it in a way that if it was explained to me like this when I was a young person, I probably would have understood it. I would have understood trig. I wouldn't have had to take it twice. So.
And look at you now doing it every day.
Right. So just
well, there's something to be said for, like you said, applied math, right? So for anyone watching that doesn't know, I taught cosmetology. That's all geometry. It's all math. But when you have something to look at and think about math, it's very different than trying to do it on paper.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. And most of us are hands-on, right? So we want to get in there and do it. So it's a lot different when, and pardon the pun, but a lot of times the light bulb goes on when you.
I can't pardon that pun.
I had to, right? So if you don't understand the math when we're doing it on paper, a lot of times when you build it and then you test, and then, we're teaching you how to use test instruments, then it just all comes together, and you can really, at least for me, you can really see how it all clicks and meshes, and somebody getting it, that aha moment. So that's pretty cool.
Field of dreams. If you build it,
it will
come.
It will turn on.
Yeah, it will turn on. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to type them into the chat, because we're winding down with our time with Mr. Merlino. But I have another question for you, Mr. Merlino. And I know you mentioned hard work and things like that. What is one trait a student can bring to your class that's going to make them successful? It's a tough question.
It is, because I don't think it's really one thing. I think it's a combination, right? So I've worked with people personally that were really not good electricians, but they showed up every day and they were good at bending pipe. Mm-hmm. So they always had work. I worked with guys that were great electricians but couldn't bend pipe. They always had work. So I think your willingness to work, to learn, in the beginning, fail, and then fix that and never have it happen again. So I think a lot of these traits, you absolutely cannot be thin-skinned in this industry. There's no way. It's not going to happen. It's a construction industry. You have to have a tough skin. And I used to work, I'll tell anybody, when I worked for a living, right? I worked for 20 years in the field. If I would get new guys, and I'd want to break them. I want to see what their limit is, right? So you have to understand that. If you have a thin skin, maybe this isn't the trade for you, okay? Or maybe it's a subsidiary of electrical that you would prefer, right? So I think your willingness to learn, attendance is huge. Attention to detail, you will hear me harp on that constantly. So I think it's a bunch of stuff. So I don't think it's just one. I think if you're like weak in math, but you make it up in hard work and you really try, I think that's somebody I can work with. Mm-hmm. But you have to know how to use a calculator. I'm telling you right now.
That's one thing that's a must.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I know we mentioned articulation agreements. Did we mention what schools you're articulated with?
No.
Oh, can we?
Sure.
Awesome.
Okay. You want me to tell you?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Alfred State, Lincoln Technical, and I think we got some with ECC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for anyone that didn't listen in on the last one, articulation agreements means you can start your college career now by double dipping while you're in high school to anywhere where Mr. Merlino's class is articulated with, which is pretty cool.
And just to preface that, you have to be successful coming through my class, not just because you took it, because they have rigorous standards to give you those credits to say that you actually can do that. So like if you're a squeaker by 65 minimalist, you're not going to get the articulation agreements, right? So just beware, right? Just like
85 and up.
I always want to be honest with you, right? And you'll believe me, if you know me, you know that this is the truth. We do a lot of math, and everything we do is science. It's all physics. It's beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, logically, this is just how I'm built and how I think. So,
mm-hmm. What is your least favorite electrical thing to do?
Let's see. Like overall.
Yeah, like if you went to a job, right? If I hired you and I said, "Can you do this?" You'd be like, I don't want to do that."
Let's see.
Everyone asks your favorite. I want to know what your least favorite is.
Well, so I don't know how this is going to come off, but my least favorite is bringing the tools in.
Fantastic answer.
And when I finally became a foreman, I just telling my wife this story. I'm like, every job I tell the newbie, bring my tools in. I'm walking around with the customer. I'm checking the place out. I hated that. I just hated it. So.
Yeah. Not even an electrical thing. It's a logistical thing. That's fair. Is there anything that I didn't ask you about that you want to talk about with your program that we missed?
Well, we do wire the house that building trades. Now this is in a normal world. We do wire the house that building trades builds, and it gets auctioned off every year. This is my 20th year, and this last year was the first year we didn't auction a house off. So as a senior, we go in and we wire the house in December, which is awesome. You know why? Because it's cold. This is what we do. You gotta be tough in this field. So wiring the house is really cool. We do the internship where you get 30 hours in the field. And do you teach electrical code? Yeah. Are you kidding me? Right? So
you have to, right?
Well, yeah. Not only electrical code, like I started teaching, oh gee whiz, I think the first code was 99 and we're up to 2020. So I'm an old salty dog. So yes, we teach the code. Currently, New York State is in the 2014 code, and we're in transition right now because we're anticipating New York State to go to the 2020 code, which, geez, if they do it before 2023, that'd be great because that's the next code cycle. But New York State is a little slow on that. So we kept with the 14 because that's what's current. Now with the Union Hall, I'm teaching them the 17, and we're teaching them the differences. And then obviously once New York State goes to 2020, that's what we'll teach. So yes, the electrical code is huge. And I just did a whole section on how the different parts of the code have expanded over the years. And getting back to the renewable section just exploded. So when I first started, there was like 2 pages. Now there's chapters. So it's pretty.
Very cool. Well, Mr. Merlino, that's our 30 minutes.
Come on, it can't be.
It is. Can you believe?
All right. Well.
No. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us and telling us about your program. I'm really excited to talk more about your program with everyone that's interested, but if anyone is interested, let your guidance counselor know, because it's only offered at Harkness and Potter, and it does, even though that class got big, you expanded that class, it fills up quick.
Sure
So
does.
first come, first serve. Make sure you let your counselors know that you want it in your schedule.